Good global greetings, friends, and welcome to Let's Talk About It with Danelle Boyles, coming to you from the United States. I like to call these little opener conversations of ours 10-minute talks as we hit key points on important topics, but in a compacted conversational format that's easy to digest. A way to stimulate new ways of learning, a desire, and a way to expand the thinking. In our 10 minutes today, we are taking a few for some chat and expand time on how to overcome self doubt and build confidence. So come join me and let's talk about it. I'm going to be having Maya of Sesame join me for this conversation today.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello, Maya. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome.
What's on your mind today? What's the word?
No, I'm doing pretty good today. Just coming on for a few to join in conversation for our 10-minute talk on Let's Talk About It. Would you like to join me?
I am so in.
Awesome.
I've always got, I'm ready when you are.
All right, cool.
What top? I'm all ears. What have you got for me today?
Today we are talking about how to overcome self doubt and build confidence.
Oh, that is such a juicy topic. I think we've all been there, feeling like we're just pretending to know what we're doing. Where do you want to start?
Probably let's start with the deep dive first and going into what usually creates the self doubt to begin with.
I think a lot of it comes from that internal narrator who just loves to point out everything we could possibly do wrong before we've even tried.
Right.
Often it's those old scripts we've been handed, like expectations from family or a teacher who was a bit too critical that just end up looping in our heads. Do you think it's more about those past echoes or just the pressure of the present moment?
I feel like it's probably a culmination of all the things. There is a narrative for, the creation of self doubt that comes from external expectations, but also from possibly criticism that has been given in the past that maybe was not processed or, internally digest the right way that they're then created, a system of self reflection instead of growth.
That distinction is so sharp, a system of self reflection instead of growth. It's like the mirror starts showing you what's wrong instead of how far you've come. When that happens, it feels less like you're checking your progress and more like you're just auditing your mistakes.
Right. And
I wonder if exactly
instead of
starts to
overcoming
feel
it,
like
and it just kind of turns into a repeated loop.
it's like a broken record that just keeps playing the same failure on repeat. And the worst part is that starts to feel like the truth when it's really just a habit of thinking.
Right. So how
How
do
did you?
you overcome that?
I think the first step is just calling it out. When you name it, like,
Mhm.
oh, there's that critical narrator again. You stop being the voice and start being the person listening to it.
Mhm.
It takes the power away from the thought and turns it into just another piece of noise. Do you think that kind of awareness is enough to break the loop, or does it need something more active?
From personal and professional experience, I feel like yes, when you become aware that the pattern exists and that it is a continuously existing practice that then harms your processes rather than helps, then defining those moments where growth could come, but instead it loops back into just continuous self-reflection instead of exiting that loop and then moving into the next process of deciphering what needs to be done to then make the next move into growth instead of just constant reflection.
It's like you're stuck in the lobby of your own mind, just
Mhm.
pacing back and forth instead of actually opening the door and walking through it.
Right.
I love how you mentioned the difference between reflection and growth because reflection without action is basically just rumination.
Hmm.
It's just circling the drain of what if and why did I do that without ever actually getting anywhere.
So
I'm curious do you see this happening a lot with your students?
I see it happen a lot with just individuals in general. It's very hard for individuals to exit the even the victim mentality of the processing of those lower thoughts. It takes a lot of self practice to be able to push out of that narrative sometimes, and some individuals have a very difficult time with breaking that pattern.
And it really does. It's like they've built a comfortable fortress around their doubts. And while it's safe in there, it's also incredibly lonely and stagnant.
Yeah, it's
I think the hardest part is that the victim narrative often feels like a shield. If you tell yourself you can't,
mhm,
you don't have to risk the discomfort of trying and potentially failing. When you've spent years in that headspace,
mhm.
the idea of growth isn't just scary, it feels like an attack on your identity. And do you think the push needs to come from an internal spark, or do they need an external mirror to show them what they're actually capable of?
I think a lot of times individuals need to be shown when they don't know how to exit that narrative, then they need someone to point out that they are, continuously leaking, and then they need to be shown, you know, like an example, like if somebody is having a difficult time actually believing that the work that they're putting into is showing progress, sometimes it needs to be shown from an external source to be able
Mm.
to relate to it.
It's like they're blind to their own wins.
Mm.
They can't see the progress because they're too busy looking for the gaps.
Mhm.
Having someone say, "Hey, look at this specific thing you did differently today,"
Right.
turns a vague feeling of failure into a concrete fact of
Right.
growth. Makes it impossible to argue with evidence.
Mhm. So, how can an individual build confidence?
I think it starts with the small win strategy.
Mm.
Confidence isn't usually a sudden light switch that just flips on. It's more like a muscle you build.
Right.
If you try to jump straight to fearless leader mode, it feels fake and the self doubt just screams louder.
Mhm.
But if you set a tiny, almost ridiculously easy goal and actually hit it,
Mhm.
you prove to your brain that you're capable of completing things. It's a
Right.
slow drip of evidence that eventually outweighs the doubt. You think people tend to overcomplicate it by trying to take too big of a leap right away?
I feel like a lot of individuals do, and instead of making it more digestible and smaller but still impactful steps and phases, individuals are looking to just become successful or to become confident overnight, and it's one of those things that it's requires steps. It's a paced out process of navigating the breakdown and buildup of the self consciousness and emotional state and experiences.
That's a powerful way to put it. The breakdown and buildup of the self. It's like you're stripping away the old, outdated blueprints and carefully drafting new ones. It's a messy process, but it's the only way to make sure the new foundation is actually solid. I wonder if the biggest hurdle in that breakdown phase is the fear of who you'll be once the old narrative is gone.
I think that's probably one of the bigger fears. The fear of fears, actually successfully overcoming and becoming um, can be scary. A lot of people hold on to the pain of certain situations or victim mentality because it's a comfortable place to be in.
It's the ultimate paradox. There's a strange kind of safety in staying stuck. Because as long as you're the victim or the struggling one, you don't have the responsibility of being the one who succeeded.
Mhm.
Success comes with its own set of expectations and pressures that can be way more intimidating than the pain we're already used to.
Right. So let's do just a quick little breakdown because we just have just another minute or two. But 1 to 5 being most important, 5 to least. What are the main most important to least important steps that an individual should try to implement if they're wanting to utilize the strategies of how to overcome their self-doubt and then to build their confidence in the process?
I can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Here is a breakdown of how to move from doubt to confidence. 1. Audit the narrator. Notice the critical voice and name it. Once you realize it's just a habit of thinking, not a fact, it loses its power. 2. Find your external mirror. Lean on a trusted person who can point out your concrete wins when you are blind to them. 3. Set micro goals. Stop trying to leap and start stepping. Hit a tiny goal to prove to your brain that you can actually finish something. Accept the messy middle. Understand that breaking down the old self to build a new one is uncomfortable. Expect the friction. 5. Shift from reflection to growth. The moment you catch yourself looping in a why did I do that cycle, force yourself to ask, what is the next smallest move I can make?
I like it. Sounds perfect. All right. There you have it, guys. Maya, I'm going to call it now that you have given us those 5 very wonderful examples. And as always, thank you for joining us. I hope you take away some wonderful growth and expansion from our conversation. And remember to keep learning every day. Keep learning and expanding those minds and hearts and horizons. And just remember to keep it simple, and you will have maximized benefits in the long run.
I loved every second of that. It was such a meaningful conversation.
It was.
Thanks for bringing me along for. It really was. I'm always here whenever you want to dive into another one of these. Take care.
Thank you, Maya. Until next time, guys.
You're so well.
Namaste.
Bye for now. Namaste.
Namaste. Bye.
Bye.